Cultural Arts Academy Charter School COVID-19 Safe School Training for Scholars and Families. If you're considering sending your child back to our brick-and-mortar building in March, we know that safety is at the forefront of your thoughts. We want to assure you that Cultural Arts Academy Charter School is taking lots of precautions to keep our scholars and staff safe from coronavirus. This safety awareness training presentation is designed to give an overview and best practices for preventing the spread of the coronavirus in our school building. According to the CDC, children and teenagers can be infected with the virus that causes COVID-19, can get sick with COVID-19, and can spread the virus to others. The symptoms of COVID-19 are similar in adults and children and can look like other common illnesses, such as colds, strep throat, influenza, or allergies. Children, like adults, who are infected but have no symptoms, can still spread the virus to others. Children and adolescents with underlying medical conditions are at increased risk for severe illnesses from COVID-19. Additionally, some children may develop the rare but serious condition associated with COVID-19 called multi-symptom inflammatory syndrome in children, MIS-C. Because children with the virus that causes COVID-19 can spread it to other children and to adults, it is important to take measures to minimize risk of spread in school settings. If a student begins experiencing symptoms in school, they will be isolated and monitored by a dedicated staff member until they are picked up by a parent or guardian. If your scholar is feeling sick, they are required to stay home, and if their symptoms are consistent with COVID-19, we are asking families to get them tested. The risk for COVID-19 spread rises with increased contact with others. The more people who students, teachers, and staff interact with, and the longer those interactions last, the higher the risk of COVID-19 spread. Close contact means being within 6 feet of the person for a total of at least 15 minutes within a 24-hour period. A person is known to be infected if they have a laboratory-confirmed infection or illness consistent with COVID-19. People who are physically near within 6 feet a person with COVID-19 or have direct contact with that person are at greatest risk of infection. When people with COVID-19 cough, sneeze, sing, talk, or breathe, they produce respiratory droplets. These droplets can range in size from larger droplets, some of which are visible, to smaller droplets. Small droplets can also form particles when they are dry very quickly in the airstream. Infections occur mainly through exposure to respiratory droplets when a person is in close contact with someone who has COVID-19. CAACS has reconfigured our school into 2 cohorts, kindergarten through 2nd grade and 3rd grade through 5th grade. A cohort is a group of students and teachers who stay together throughout the school day. Other measures that we are taking include holding classes and activities outside as much as possible as the weather gets warmer, and having meals in the classroom at their desks, marking floors to show scholars where to stand and to walk, having scholars ride the bus in assigned seats that are distanced apart. Personal prevention practices such as hand washing, staying home when sick, and environmental cleaning and disinfection are important. Masks. Wash masks daily. Make sure your child understands that the mask must cover their mouth and nose. Show your child how to properly take on and off their mask without touching the cloth by handling only the ties or ear loops. Write your child's name with permanent marker on their masks and label the front and back, and get in the habit of storing masks in individual bags or containers when they're not being worn. Talk to your child about when they'll be wearing masks at school, like when they'll be less than 6 feet apart from other students. Hand washing. Teach your scholar the 5 steps for hand washing: wet, lather, scrub, rinse, and dry. Teach them how long to wash their hands, scrubbing with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or twice through the happy birthday song. You get bonus points if your family makes up your own song. Teach them when to wash hands: after using the restroom, playing outside, coughing, sneezing, or blowing their nose, before or after eating, and upon entering the home or school. Sanitizer. If soap and water are not available, use hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Teach your child to cover all surfaces of their hands with hand sanitizer and rub their hands together until they feel dry. Morning screening. Start taking your child's temperature every morning and asking if they have a sore throat, cough, upset stomach, headache, or body aches. Have your children explain back to you what each of these symptoms might feel like, so you can be sure they know what you're asking. A temperature of 100.4 or any of the above symptoms means you should keep your child home. Children need to stay home when sick until at least 24 hours after they no longer have a fever or signs of a fever, without the use of fever-reducing medicine, and other symptoms have improved, and 10 days since the symptoms first appeared. Even though Cultural Arts Academy Charter School will do temperature screening, it is up to you, our CAACS parents, guardians, and caregivers, to be responsible and not send your sick scholar to school. Etiquette for proper coughing, sneezing, and nose blowing. Show your scholars the proper techniques with tissues. Let them practice coughing into an elbow when there isn't time to get a tissue, and remind them to back away and give space to anyone else who's coughing, sneezing, or blowing their nose. Remind your child not to touch their face. If your scholar's hair falls in their face, practice different hairstyles to keep it pulled back. If your scholar has a habit of scratching itches on their face, give them a packet of tissues to carry and encourage them to cover their hand with a tissue before scratching. Social distancing. Find a household item that's about 6 feet long and have your child get used to imagining it as an example of social distancing. When you're playing outside, talk about what recess and play will look like at school and how it's still a good idea to keep some distance from other people, even outdoors. New COVID-19 vaccines are offering families hope that everyday life, including school, can get back to normal. Vaccines likely will not be available for most students this school year. But the good news is that reopening schools for in-person learning does not seem to significantly increase community transmission of the virus. It depends on whether schools are able to follow COVID-19 health and safety guidance and protocols. If we follow these health and safety practices, we will lower the chances of COVID-19 spreading among scholars and staff. But in case of an outbreak, CAACS has a plan ready to continue our scholars' high-quality learning at home until they are well enough to return to school. Frequently asked questions. How do you get younger kids to keep their mask on? Allow your children to practice wearing their masks before they need to wear them outside of the home. Teach them how to put them on and take them off. We work outside the home. What precautions should we take when we come home each night? Anyone re-entering home should practice good hand hygiene and consider changing clothing and taking off shoes right away. When out, it is important to avoid touching your face and to wash your hands with soap and water or hand sanitizer as often as possible, and especially before eating. How long does the virus live on phones, toys, tablets, and doorknobs, etc.? It can live on inanimate objects a long time, certainly hours, and maybe even more than a day. We should be in the habit of cleaning and disinfecting these and other high-touch surfaces frequently, especially after they have been touched by one person and then will be touched by another. With practice and encouragement, your scholar will become more comfortable with these new routines. It will help us reduce the risk of coronavirus in our school and create healthy life habits that will keep your child healthier as they grow.